The announcement arrived the way death usually does, without preamble. 300 players, 100% already dead. One winner eligible for resurrection. The system's voice was neither kind nor cruel. It simply was, the way gravity simply is. Please choose your starting item. The shelves materialized around us like a fever dream of last chances. Players surged forward. A stampede of the desperate dead, snatching at abilities, away drowning men grab at driftwood. Danger sense, blade control. Teleportation, healing. The air crackled with the static of supernatural powers changing hands. Nobody paused. Nobody thought. They grabbed what shone brightest and ran. I scrolled to the final page. On the lowest shelf, tucked beneath every gleaming ability the others had already claimed, sat a single gold coin. The label above it read, Infinite Wealth. I picked it up without hesitation. Choyangzo, class president, chosen of mind control, perpetual arranger of other people's fates, turned to find me pocketing the coin and laughed with the full-throated confidence of a man who has never been wrong about anything. You're greedy even here? Money is the first thing that dies in an apocalypse. I said nothing. Words were currency too. And I was already learning to spend carefully. Nearby, Luo Ruin held her chosen ability, Love Acquisition, with the calm of someone who has always understood that the most useful power is the one that makes other people volunteer. The system gave us 1 year. 1 year to train, prepare, arm ourselves. 1 year before the apocalypse began in earnest. And then its final instruction, delivered without sentiment. Only the last surviving player wins. Every other player is your enemy. 2. The island while 300 dead people practice levitating objects and bending steel with their minds. I bought an island. The Pacific offered it up like a secret. Small, isolated, geologically stable, with a flat expanse of land perfectly proportioned for an airstrip. I named it Future Island and told the world I was building a tourism development. $10 billion changed hands before noon. 10 cruise ships signed on by nightfall. The executives who received my confidentiality agreements didn't know they were helping seal the world's most elaborate tomb, or its only viable arc, depending on which side of the wall you wound up on. The surface was theater, disguised fortresses, interference devices, workers stripped of their phones, satellite-proof camouflage stretched across structures that would never host a single tourist. The real work happened underground. 5 meters of steel, 12 compartments, each self-sustaining, so that losing one meant losing a room rather than losing everything. 3 automated farming bays cycling vegetables, fish, and chickens through perpetual harvest. 2 storage vaults packed with enough medicine, water, and food for a decade. The rest divided into everything a human being needs to remain human. Sleeping, eating, moving, resting, healing. Wind turbines and tidal generators hummed above ground. A nuclear reactor hummed below. 100,000 oxygen tanks waited in the dark for a day that might never come, but probably would. I bought mobile combat robots, light tactical units, and, through channels that required both money and a willingness to look certain people steadily in the eye. 2 nuclear warheads, a submarine rested in a hidden bay. An aircraft waited beside it. I hired instructors and learned to pilot both, understanding that machines are only as useful as the human who can operate them alone at 3 in the morning with everything else gone wrong. The coastline became a labyrinth of artificial reefs, electric grids, buried explosives, and radar systems capable of detecting a fishing boat at range and reducing it to vapor. When the last NPC construction crew left, I was alone on the island. Precisely as planned. Then I purchased a space exploration company and assumed control of 6,122 satellites. Then I quietly acquired every major airline and shipping company on Earth. Then, 1 week before the apocalypse, I destroyed all of them. Every airplane. Every cargo vessel, every long-haul transport I owned, and watched the world decide I had gone insane. The players understood immediately. A private message arrived from Cho Yonzo, that global billionaire. Was it you? I didn't reply. Silence, like money, compounds when left alone. 3. The flood. Nobody expected rain. The apocalypse arrived not as a shambling horde but as water. Catastrophic, planetary, indiscriminate. From pole to pole, rainfall of mythological intensity erased coastlines and swallowed cities. The world's 300 ability users had spent 12 months training to fight zombies, and the apocalypse had sent a flood instead. The system, when pressed, replied with the tone of a professor reading a contract aloud. Did I ever say the apocalypse would definitely be a zombie virus? Future Island received 2 days of heavy rain. Then blue skies. I watched the rest of the world through live streams, eating hot pot. One broadcaster, whispering behind curtains, captured an ability user melting open apartment doors with fire, looting room by room, until the special police arrived on rescue boats and the building became a battlefield. When the player's name went gray on the system screen, I noted it without feeling. Cho Yonzo messaged me 3 times across the flood months. An alliance. We were classmates. Our player numbers were adjacent -99 and 100. Practically neighbors in the ledger of the dead. His mind control ability was powerful. He could shield me from the others. I only needed to answer. I watched his messages appear and vanish from my attention like ripples on water. Alliance with Cho Yonzo meant surviving long enough for him to be the last person standing between me and resurrection, at which point his ability would do precisely what abilities do. I couldn't tell if his proposal reflected contempt for my intelligence or an inflated confidence in his own. Either way, silence was the only honest answer. 3 months of flooding stripped the outside world to its essentials. Power failed. Food disappeared. The social contract, always thinner than anyone admits, dissolved entirely. Players mixed themselves into the chaos of looting civilians, and their powers, impossible to hide indefinitely, drew the attention of governments that were themselves dissolving. By the time the rain ended, the planet had become somewhere I barely recognized from the satellite feeds. 4. The shelter Samin exposed me. An anonymous post appeared on the world chat. Player 99 was the global billionaire. Player 99 had built shelters. Find Player 99 and survive. The chat, dormant for weeks, convulsed back to life. Hundreds of messages, most of them anger dressed as accusation. Selfish, cruel, come out and face us. I typed my reply with the unhurried calm of a man who has already won the argument he is about to have. I built shelters in 4 locations. Waxia, America, Hans Country, Kangaroo Country, each holds 20 people. Over 200 of you are competing for 80 spots. I'm sharing the passwords now. First come, first served. Please don't hunt me. The effect was immediate and entirely predictable. Players with movement abilities covered distances in hours. The shelters, built on high ground, insulated from the flood, stocked with the kind of luxury that feels obscene when the world outside is drowning, opened their doors on a paradise. Player 58 live streamed steak and red. One to the world chat with the self-conscious pride of someone who believes their survival is proof of their virtue. 12 players entered the Huaxia shelter and sealed it behind them. The players still en route arrived to find a locked door and people celebrating behind it. Outside, the violence was immediate. Those who had gotten close enough to smell safety, but not close enough to claim it, lost whatever remained of their restraint. A girl grew vines from her arms. A blade user cut through them and through her neck in the same motion. The numbers on the system screen ticked upward like a clock running the wrong direction. I watched and typed one more message. The shelter holds 20. Only 12 entered. There's a hidden door. Southeast corner. Carved brick. Rotate once. The remaining players outside descended on that corner like a wave. 8 more spots. Hundreds of people. The math did the rest. Cho Yanzo, who had written the anonymous post that sent everyone looking for me, message to congratulate himself. See, we work perfectly together. Natural allies. You have no shame. I replied. Thank me,
equipment
he said.
The thousands of satellites floating in space allowed me to monitor the entire Earth in real time. One by one, the number of players continued decreasing. This time, the remaining player count dropped to only 30 people. Today was New Year's Eve, but nobody in the world had the mood to celebrate anymore, except for me. While eating my New Year's dinner, I played the final Spring Festival gala that had aired before the apocalypse began. Now that I was completely alone, I couldn't stop the sadness inside my heart. The me from the real world was already dead. My family must be suffering terribly because of it. No matter how comfortable my life in the apocalypse was, it still could never compare to the warmth of my real home. I had to return. No matter what happened, I had to become the final survivor. Then I casually took a photo of my New Year's dinner table and sent it directly to Choi Young-seo. Just 1 minute later, Choi Young-seo posted my photo onto the world public chat. I could already imagine the furious reactions from the other players as countless angry comments flooded the screen instantly. Player 99 is living pretty comfortably, huh? We can't even get a single hot meal, but he has an entire table full of food. You better not get too arrogant. Once I find you, I'll definitely kill you. After seeing those furious messages, I calmly replied, then I'll wait for you, if you can find me. After exiting the chat interface, I opened my computer and checked the information files I had gathered on the remaining 30 players. What they didn't know was that long before the apocalypse arrived, the entire world had already been filled with my spies. My mercenaries had accurately tracked the players scattered across different regions and secretly observed them for a long time. I knew every player's ability and weakness clearly. After the apocalypse began, the mercenaries survived using the supplies I had stockpiled in advance, and they continued working for me while I continuously unlocked new supplies for them. Money could make even ghosts push a millstone. In the apocalypse, resources were the most useful currency. At that moment, the world had formed into 3 major factions. The first faction was the military. They possessed a massive weapons arsenal, and their base was practically impossible to break through. Choi Young-seo had successfully obtained leadership there using his mental control ability. The second faction was the zombies. Among them, a zombie king had already appeared. By biting and devouring ability users and special zombies, he continuously absorbed their powers. Beside the zombie king was Lu Ruyan. She had become his most beloved companion. The third faction was the Mafia. Long before the apocalypse erupted, Player 128 had entered one of the most dangerous and chaotic countries in the world and used his powers to take control of the local criminal organizations. Under Player 128's leadership, the Mafia faction gradually grew stronger by looting civilians. The remaining 26 players had all attached themselves to one of these 3 factions. Player 128 possessed the ability to manipulate gravity. It was an extremely terrifying power. In one-on-one combat, almost no player could defeat him. However, despite his personal strength, the Mafia faction itself was actually the weakest among the 3 forces. I lightly tapped Player 128's profile picture with my pen and muttered, "I'll start with you." Right then, the system announcement appeared again. There are currently 30 surviving players remaining. The difficulty of the game will now increase. Entering 3rd stage, Extreme Cold Continent. The moment the announcement appeared, some people immediately lost control emotionally. The apocalypse has already lasted 1 year and 5 months. Nobody has enough food left anymore. If extreme cold weather comes now, everyone on this planet will die. Soon after, Lu Ruyan secretly sent me another message. When that time comes, only zombies will survive on this planet, and I'll survive too. You'll regret rejecting me for the rest of your life. Then she sent me a photo of herself together with the zombie king. After absorbing more and more abilities, the zombie king had begun looking increasingly human, but his scarlet eyes and pale skin still made him look horrifying. I quietly stared at the picture and thought to myself, in that case, I'll send both of you lovers straight to hell together. Soon extreme cold weather swept across the entire planet. Even Future Island, located in the tropical zone, was affected. But inside this apocalypse online game, normal natural laws no longer mattered anyway. A terrifying snowstorm struck Future Island directly. The first thing destroyed was the electrical grid in the sky. The blizzard crushed the power network, while the wind and tidal energy stations were also severely damaged. Fortunately, the underground bunker's backup nuclear power station was still operating normally. Among the 3 factions, the Mafia collapsed first. Most civilian resources had already been completely looted by them, causing internal conflicts to grow worse and worse. Continuous fighting broke out, and ability users began dying one after another. At that moment, I privately contacted Player 128 through the world chat window. Player 128, how about we cooperate? I purchased large amounts of supplies within your territory before the apocalypse. As long as you obtain them, your people can survive. Very quickly, Player 128 replied to me, what do you want, and why should I trust you? I calmly answered, I want you to deal with the zombie king. The scientist team I formed has already developed a zombie cure. As long as it's sprayed onto zombies, they'll disappear. But you also know that my combat ability is weak. After thinking about it carefully, among all 30 ability users, you're the strongest. Only you can accomplish this. Humans fear extreme cold weather, but zombies don't. The longer this drags on, the greater the zombie threat becomes. No matter how many supplies I have, one day they'll eventually run out. If this continues, player 101 beside the Zombie King will become the winner. The Zombie King is too powerful. Without the zombie cure, no ability user can kill him. I have the cure, you have the ability. Let's work together and eliminate the zombies. To gain player 128's trust, I ordered my mercenaries to deliver one sample of the zombie cure together with a large batch of supplies. Player 128 was clearly tempted. If the world eventually only had me and him remaining, then he could easily kill me. In his eyes, I was the weakest player alive. Forming an alliance with me was obviously the best option. Finally, on a snowy night, hundreds of drones carrying the zombie cure flew toward the zombie hordes. At that moment, the Zombie King was holding Ryan in his arms while sleeping. Because his hearing was extremely sharp, he immediately sensed something unusual. He carefully climbed out of bed without making any noise, and even gently covered Ryan with a blanket before leaving. Inside the room, firewood was burning warmly. Everything there had been prepared for Ryan. Soon, huge amounts of zombie cure mixed together with snowflakes began pouring down from the sky. The zombies who touched the cure let out painful screams as their body rapidly melted into pools of blood. The Zombie King instantly flew into a furious rage. He jumped downward and shot several beams of light from his palm, instantly destroying multiple drones. At that exact moment, player 128 led several players into battle. He activated his gravity manipulation ability and forcefully crushed the Zombie King onto the ground. Even the incredibly powerful Zombie King couldn't put his arms under the overwhelming pressure. Several players immediately went toward him, but the Zombie King released a terrifying roar from his throat. The hidden zombies lurking in the darkness suddenly pounced forward like savage monkeys and instantly bit through the players' necks. Player 128 activated his gravity ability once again. A massive skyscraper nearby was violently torn apart by gravity before collapsing completely. Enormous chunks of stone crashed down toward the zombie horde, and even the Zombie King himself was buried beneath the ruins. The collapsing ruins buried everything beneath them. Liu Ruyan stood on the balcony as the freezing wind blew through her hair. Suddenly, she covered her face and let out a terrified scream. Player 128 slightly moved his finger, and the balcony beneath Liu Ruyan instantly collapsed. At the very last second, the Zombie King burst out from the broken ruins and caught Liu Ruyan in his arms. At the same time, countless thin blood-red threads suddenly exploded out from one of his hands and instantly wrapped around Player 128's body. Player 128's face changed dramatically. He never expected the Zombie King to possess an ability like this. The Zombie King gently pulled his hand back, and Player 128's body instantly shattered into countless pieces. But what the Zombie King didn't expect was that Player 128 had hidden zombie cure packages all over his body. The blood threads sliced through the medicine packs, and the cure scattered into the air together with the snowstorm, completely surrounding the Zombie King. Liu Ruyan screamed helplessly in his arms as she watched the Zombie King's body begin melting into pools of blood right before her eyes. "Disgusting! Get away from me!" Liu Ruyan shouted in fear. A deeply hurt expression appeared in the Zombie King's eyes before his entire body completely dissolved into a puddle of blood. The zombie base was reduced to nothing but ruins. Liu Ruyan was terrified out of her mind. To her, this place had already become hell itself. She stumbled desperately through the pools of blood, trying to escape into the distance, but very quickly she fell into an ice pit and broke her neck. This time, nobody would save her. On the world player screen, another 12-player names turned gray. I calmly crossed out their numbers one by one inside my notebook. At that moment, I only had one final opponent left. Choi Youngzin, the man controlling the military faction. He could no longer wait to finish this game completely. Soon he sent me a message. "I always knew you had mercenaries, but they can never compare to the military. You may have money, but I have missiles, aircraft carriers, and military fighter jets. No matter where you hide, I'll find you." In response, I simply posted a middle finger in the world chat. Choi Youngzeo's mental control ability was indeed powerful, but it had one fatal weakness. He had to face his target directly to use it. As long as I stayed inside the underground fortress, he had no way to use his power. However, I never expected him to directly launch missiles at Future Island. Several missiles began heavily bombarding the island non-stop. Even after a long time passed, I still showed no reaction. Choi Youngzeo sneered coldly. "Your shelter is built pretty well. Fine then, I'll personally drag you out myself." Soon he brought an aircraft carrier directly toward Future Island. Compared to an aircraft carrier, the artificial reefs I built were no longer enough to stop him. Looking at the exposed entrance of the underground fortress, he revealed a confident smile filled with victory. Catching a turtle in a jar, I like it. He immediately ordered his soldiers to bombard the entrance using heavy weapons and ammunition. After several rounds of intense attacks, the massive gate was finally blown apart, revealing the underground passage hidden inside. Right then, I suddenly sent him a video call request. He proudly accepted the call while staring at the dark underground tunnel and said arrogantly, "Begging for mercy now is already too late." Then he signaled for the soldiers to enter the tunnel and drag him out from inside. On the video call, I calmly pointed behind him toward the vast universe outside the window and said, "Who told you I was on Future Island? Open your eyes carefully and see where I really am." The moment I finished speaking, a nuclear bomb exploded directly on Future Island. No living human could survive a nuclear explosion with their physical body alone, not even Choi Youngzeo. Finally, Player 100's name turned gray. Immediately afterward, the system released a sharp electronic victory sound. Congratulations to Player 99 for becoming the sole winner and successfully winning the game. One of Choi Youngzeo's subordinates possessed an ability that allowed him to determine the exact coordinates of a location simply by looking at a photo. It sounded like a completely useless ability, but Choi Youngzeo quickly realized how valuable it could become. He had requested video calls with me countless times because he wanted to secretly capture screenshots and locate my position. But I never accepted his calls. Later on New Year's Eve, I intentionally sent him a photo. At that time, he secretly cursed me while happily using the photo to locate my position. "You really know how to hide." After waiting until both the Mafia and the Zombie King were eliminated, we planned to sit back and enjoy the benefits while bombing me to death. But how could I possibly not know what kinds of players were under his command? That photo was deliberately leaked by me from the very beginning. My goal was simply to lure him toward Future Island. The moment I sent the photo, I had already left the island. "System, can I use the extra reward you gave me now?" I calmly asked. "Of course," the system replied. The reward the system gave me was the ability to teleport once to any place I wanted. Carrying my supplies with me, I was instantly transported directly into a space station floating in outer space. However, the system never gave me the option to return to Earth. Until the very end, I couldn't use that reward carelessly. But now it no longer mattered, because Finally, I could go home. I watched as my body slowly became transparent while the system's electronic voice echoed beside my ears. Player 99 has achieved victory. Beginning transmission process now. 3, 2, 1. I leaped forward without hesitation. Dad, Mom, I'm back.